the Live and Create podcast.
What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And today is actually the February recap. It's coming out in the beginning of March because I'm a little behind. But yeah, going to go over some of the clips that went out from previous guests and talk about the inspiration behind those, why I chose to share those clips, and maybe share some of my own insights that I got from that guest. I love all the guests that we've been having on. It's always a reminder to me, each conversation, of something very important and valuable, whether in my own personal life or in my career as a musician and as an artist. I hope it's doing the same for you. Before we dive into that, I'm going to do a quick update on the band. I lead a band called Run With It. And we are transitioning into be completely self-produced as a band. In the past, we've typically focused just on the writing side of things and then hired producers and mixing engineers and mastering engineers, all that, to help us bring all the songs together. But some of the goals we have and the amount of music that we want to put out, as well as just the resources as far as money that is there to do that, recognizing that to meet all those goals, we need to move into self-producing. So over this last year, I personally have been spending a lot of time learning that. The last 3 months, I've been working damn near round the clock, learning mixing and learning a little bit about mastering and production as well. And it's been incredible. I've actually fallen in love with the process and very, very excited about where it's going to lead us. We had producers, friends of the band that have helped out. Josh Gleave, who has produced a lot of our music in the past, he's given a lot of tips along the way, which has been incredible and crucial. And then working with other producers, honestly, from around the world, getting feedback from them and growing and learning. And so we're excited. We go in the beginning. This is the beginning of March, and we go in and start tracking live drums for the next 8 songs that we're working on. Not sure exactly how those are all going to be released, but we're thinking about breaking them up into different EPs throughout the rest of the year. But man, we got a lot of stuff boiling and brewing that we want to get out to you, and that we're very excited to. So in the meantime, make sure you follow us at Run With It Band, at Run With It Band, anywhere you follow people at. We got, I think, 10 songs out there already that we have done, and it's a good time, and excited about the next iteration of the band. So yeah, let's get to reviewing. So the first guest is AD, and AD is not the first guest on the podcast, but he's the first guest from a community that I'm part of. I joined a online community called Sync Alliance, and the focus of this community is helping artists learn how to shape their music and get their music into TV and movies and commercials and all that. And that's something that I've been very passionate about in learning and growing, the direction I've wanted to go for a very long time. And it's funny because it was probably a decade ago, Run With It had just gotten started as a band. And I started asking people, because I'd heard about this licensing thing. I started asking people like, man, what about this licensing thing? How do we get into this licensing thing? And I had people, person after person, who seemed more accomplished and further down the road than me, say, don't worry about that right now. It's not really for you at this point. You need to focus on other things. And so I listened to them because they're further down the road than me. And then a few years later, I reached out. I was actually had the blessing, whatever you want to call it, talking to someone, manager of a very large band, like a band that tours arenas all over the world, and got to get the email of this manager. And he gave me a ton of great advice. Very grateful for it and grateful for his time. But then I asked him about this licensing thing as well. And he's like, don't worry about that. You're not at the space where you need to think about that's a whole other animal. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm just not going to worry about it. And then years go by. And at the same time, though, I had another friend at the time that I first started asking. His name's Josh Williams, and he was interested in sync. And instead of listening to people not like who said not to go do it, he actually went and did it. He learned how to do it, and over time now is making an incredible living getting his music in all sorts of commercials and Super Bowl ads and Apple stuff and movies and TV shows. And so, man, I definitely wish I would have gone the route of Josh Williams, not listened to all the people along the way. But here I am. What's fun is Josh Williams is actually the one who leads this Sync Alliance. And it's a community of people all looking to grow in this world. Some of them are already getting placements all over the place, and some of them are just getting started, like us. And there's producers from all over the world who give feedback on your songs and help you grow. And so it's been incredible. And so I tell you that very long story to let you know that's one direction we're going as a band, but to let you know that's where AD is from. He's part of this community as well. And I'm going to be working to bring more and more artists from the Sync Alliance into the podcast and hear their stories and their journey as sync. Some of them are specifically only writing for TV and music, and some of them are in movies, and some of them are like us as a band where we're actually building a following and touring and doing all that, but also writing for film. So it'll be fun to learn from them. So I was very excited when AD got to jump on the podcast and hear his story. He's also an entrepreneur doing some great things, but I've talked for a very long time. Let's go and play his clip and then we'll talk about that.
You know, people would say, oh, well, just, you know, do whatever you love. And sometimes it's not that easy, I guess, you know, or at least the way I understood it. And so I think for me, I had to really wrestle with doing things that I wasn't really truly passionate about, if you will, but I was kind of doing it because it was functional, you know, provided a certain, you know, degree of security. But I think we all kind of get to a space in life where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something that I am fully all in with. And that may take some time to kind of figure that out. But I think that to me was probably the most important thing that I had to get to. Like, nobody can tell me it. Like, you could tell me it, but I wouldn't be convinced if you told me, you know, this is the direction that I needed to go in. You know, for me, I had to figure that out for myself. And so whatever that process is for figuring out where you need to go, that's where you need to get to.
And I love this clip because it highlights several things that I think is important as an artist, as a business leader, just as a human in general, is this concept, one, of safety and security. Often we get very comfortable in life and we don't want to break away from that. And I think the older and older we get, it gets harder and harder to take risks, to step out and do something different from the norm and chase after a thing that you may have always wanted to do in throughout your life, just as AD is doing that, where he's working on stepping out of the worlds he's been in to go full on into the sync world, in this music world, and to find out what that looks like. And I love it because it also brings the other side of it, that it's a process. It's not just necessarily, for some people it is quitting your job and being like, fuck it, let's go and jump into the world. But not everybody's life works that way. Sometimes you have responsibilities, all those things. So to recognize that we don't want to be stuck in safety and security and that hold us back from following our dreams, but to also know that it's got to be a process. And there might be some very specific tools and skills that you need to learn along the way. And I love that AD is applying himself to do that. I love that he shared his story in that regard. And I love that it also comes down to just you. You can't do it because someone else is telling you to do it. You shouldn't not do it because someone told you not to do it. You got to find it in yourself to make a move, to take a step and to move forward. Because the reality is even people who love you may come out and doubt the direction you're going. But if you're sure, then you can eventually show them. You can eventually make them believers because you walked that route, went that process, and built the thing or did the thing that you said you're going to do. Let's go to the next one. All right, this one is, we're going to do Mark Manning.
How would I define creating great things? I think realizing that it's going to be work, okay? So knowing that it's going to be work, make sure it's something that you love, okay? Because if you love it, then it won't be so hard to carry the burden of doing it. And then, why are you doing it? If you can answer the question as to why, what is the purpose of doing this? What is the reason for this? Then that also will give huge motivation to the project, and hopefully you're trying to help other people by offering them entertainment, a reprieve from their life, art, a story, a way out, you know.
Mark Manning is a huge example of this idea of like, if you're going to do something great, you got to work at it. He's done incredible things in Kansas City. He's a radio DJ, and has invested in the arts community, has also invested in the community at large through his community gardens for years and years and years. Something that I did walk away from a few years back. And he talks about that in the full podcast as well. The story that his story in this community gardens and how it benefited the communities, the local communities in Kansas City, and then why he decided to walk away from those things. But yeah, he is a man about town, about the music, and a huge supporter of the arts, and loved getting to visit with him. The same week that this podcast dropped, he brought us in for a live full storyteller style concert at KKFI in Kansas City. We'll have clips going out on that as well at all of our places. So all of our places, all of our social media sites. But the reason I love this clip is it does highlight that fact that if you want to do great things, if you want to do something extraordinary, kind of like AD challenged people, like, don't get comfortable. If you want to go do that risky thing and you want to see it come to fruition, you got to work. You got to put the time in. You know, as I shared in the beginning of the podcast, I'm trying to learn this mixing and production thing. There are people who have college degrees in it, and people who have spent years and years doing it. And the audacity that I would have to just try to jump in without putting the time in, without putting the hours in, would be fucking crazy. So all these things, if you want to step out as an artist, if you want to step out in business, it takes a lot of work. And I love that he emphasized the why as well, because in those long hours, like last night, there's so many times I was sitting right here at this desk and I'm working on a mix currently. And literally while I'm learning this mix, I'm learning how to do every little step of the process that I've never known how to do before. Every step of the way. It's been painful, but in a weird way, I love it. But it's like, there's so many times I just laid my head on this desk and was about to just say, fuck it. I was going to go to sleep. And then finally made it to the point where the mix I felt was at a place where I could send it back out and get some good feedback from the sync community. You got to know your why. It's your why that's going to drive you through those hard things. It's the why that's going to drive you through the late nights, the why that's going to wake your ass up in the morning when you need to get up early. It's that why that when all the self-doubt is coming in and yelling at you, that you can keep pushing through. So yeah, that why is important. Love those thoughts from Mark. Here we go. We got Erica McKenzie.
Okay. Living a great life for me is living in my purpose and my passion. You know, I'm really fortunate that I get to do what I love and I get to make a living at it, and I get to see the joy that I bring to people's lives, and that makes it a really great life for me, you know, on top of just my career. And then, like, most important is spending the time with the people that I love. I've got a really great tribe that loves and supports me a lot. And I think they're just constantly evolving and reaching for those goals that maybe I've had my whole life, and maybe I'm taking baby steps to get there, but it sure is a great life trying to get there.
Erica is a badass guitarist and vocalist, and she does these crazy things on loops. If you are in the Kansas City area and get a chance to see her, it's just phenomenal. She builds entire bands with just her loop pedal and singing and guitar, and it's phenomenal. Great artist. She's with a great group called Flat Susan. Love what they're doing, their energy. I love this clip, one, because it just shows that if you put the time in and you're willing to be diligent, you can build a career in the music world. And that's what Erica has done over the last several years. And she has lived that out, and now it continues to grow and blossom in other different ways, in different directions. It's really cool. But I love her reminder in there, this reminder for community, this reminder to stay connected to other people, to build your tribe. And for me, it's interesting because I naturally very much love people. But I can get so focused on my goals and the things that I want to accomplish that I can quickly become a lone wolf and be like shut up in my my office just trying to work away. And one reason I do this podcast is just the reminder to connect with other people in the midst of that, because every time I do, I love it. I feel grateful. We just had 2 more episodes I filmed earlier today, and each one just inspired me. And I hope it inspired them as well. So yeah, I love that she brings it back home to that at the end of the clip. I love that she lives it out in her life. You can see it time and time again. You can see it in the community that her band is building together. And it's really cool. Yeah, definitely go check her out if you get the chance. And then last clip today, we only had 4 during February. Looks like March is going to kick up a little bit more as we continue to bring in other guests. But yeah, we got Frankie. Here we go.
Like the imposter syndrome, like shaking that and owning what you do. Like you guys, Ashley Page, Kat King, you guys feel like everybody gets scared. Everybody has like their things, but you guys like have this ownership over like who you are and what you do. And I think that you can do anything with that, whether you're scared, whether you're overthinking anything. If you just have ownership over what you do and who you are, you can fight through that, and you can do it anyways. It's like, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm Miguel, or I'm Ashley, or I'm Frankie, and I can do this. This is what I do. So whether I'm scared, whether I'm overthinking it or not, I'm going to do it anyways, and I'm going to be happy to do it, and I'm going to be proud of it. So
it's like, we're here. This is what I'm ready for. This is the shit we worked on. Let's
Period.
Go.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm Miguel, and I'm here, and I can do this. I love that. I love this clip. Frankie's awesome. Frankie actually has a co-write on one of our songs that we're going to be laying down tracks for. Starting again, like I said, we start tracking drums here this upcoming week. And she wrote a song called With Us, Darkest Days is what it is. It's kind of like a chill murder song. It's weird. I know that sounds awkward. But the story was, I walked in to our writing room, and she is dating our drummer, and she was just hanging out that day. And I was so angry about a bunch of stuff. And I actually looked at Frankie and Daniel and said, you know what? I'm not even going to write today. I don't even want to write. I'm just in such a bad mood. They're like, no, you need to write. You need to stay here because you're in a bad mood. Let's capture this. And so we ended up writing the song that hopefully will be released in the next few months. And then Frankie just started dropping in another idea. Hey, have you thought of this? Try this, and different melodies, different vibes, and different lyrics. And eventually just became an integral, whatever. I have to look up how to say that. I could ask ChatGPT right now, but an integral part of the song. So it's great working with her. She's a phenomenal talent, incredible vocalist, and building a great band with Mercy Fire. But I love this clip because it's important. It's important for an artist to own who the fuck you are, to be you, to simply be you, and to own the fact that you have put the time in, to own the fact that you put the hours practicing, you put the hours in crafting, you put the hours in promoting, you've put the hours in that thing. If you've done those things, you can own the fuck out of who you are and go out there and be simply who you are, and let that power, let that encouragement, let that love overflow to other people. And I love that she reminded us of that. It is awesome. And so like I said, it's a short recap. We had 4 guests this past February, got a handful more in March. And let me know if you're interested also in being a guest. You can email me booking@runwithitband.net, runwithitband.net. I love to talk to you, find out what you're up to, and see if it's a good fit for the podcast. More great stuff coming soon. Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.